I hereby declare this meeting of the Conshohocken Borough Council duly open and ready to conduct any business that may come before it.
So tonight, just before we start, we had an executive session where we discussed a property matter.
The second item on the agenda is presentations, the budget for 2019 with our borough manager, Ms. Checo.
Okay, so tonight I am here to present the 2019 budget. The budget process was extremely efficient this year, in my mind. A big thank you to all of the elected officials and especially all of the staff out on maternity leave and still having the budget ready to go. I can't speak enough to how staff pulled together and assisted with all the budget, so thank you. But before I move into the actual budget presentation, just to give you a presentation outline, we'll go over the budget process itself. We will then review 2018 department accomplishments, so you understand what your budget from 2018 accomplished. We will give you an overview of the 2019 proposed budget, which will give you an explanation of revenue sources. We'll give you 2019 budget highlights and 2019 department goals. And then we will end with next steps. So before I move into the overview of the proposed 2019 budget, I think it's important to reflect on the accomplishments from 2018 because they highlight the many services that the community receives as a result of their tax dollars. It also exemplifies the borough works hard on a regular basis to provide quality service to its constituents. So while these are not all, they are some of my favorites. So before we move into the accomplishments, I'll go over the timeline. Sorry, I jumped ahead of myself. So for July of 2018, the department turned in their capital requests and council had a capital budget workshop. In August and September, we did the department operational budget requests and the meetings to review the expenses. Then in September, council held a special budget workshop where we reviewed all of the operating expenditures. October, we spent administrative review of the 2019 budget, and here I am tonight doing the budget presentation in November. On November 21st, what will be in front of you is consideration to authorize the advertisement for the 2019 proposed budget and the tax levy ordinance, and then on December 19th, we will consider the budget for adoption and the tax levy ordinance for adoption. So again, now moving into accomplishments, our highlights. So starting with the police department, they focused on public safety, community outreach, and training, and I'll start with these two lovely gentlemen. So we had a chief of police, Mike Orler, retire, and we swore in our new acting chief of police, George Metz. Community outreach events, they focused on Shop with a Cop, Coffee with a Cop, a bike giveaway. They distributed over 60 meals to families for Thanksgiving, a toy drive, a student backpack giveaway, a bike safety seminar for adults and children's, and a suicide awareness prevention panel they participated that the mayor and Sarah organized. Training, we had two sergeants, Connor and Lennon, who graduated from Northwestern School of Police and Command. The department provided active shooter training for all of the departments in the borough and also organizations that are in the borough, so community outreach in that sense. They participated in borough-wide emergency management exercises, and they implemented a new management system, which I know our acting chief had so much fun doing. So there we go. Got a thumbs up. For our fire department, again, they focused on public safety and outreach as well. Most important, they completed 2 high-rise fire trainings at the Montgomery County Fire Academy, and that's important given the development that's currently happening and the future development that will be happening. And I know that everyone enjoyed and appreciated the fire prevention activities that that happened within the borough. They did sprinkler nights at Marywood Park and Sutcliffe Park. They did fire prevention nights at Marywood Park House, and then fire prevention education and drills at Conshohocken Elementary and St. Matthew's School. And we also had a very nice ceremony where they were commended for their excellence in service that they provided. So I just wanted to highlight that as well, make sure it's in your memories. For emergency management, we had a busy year this year. We also had our emergency management coordinator, fire marshal, fire inspector, career firefighter Bob Zinni retire on November 5th. And again, we are administratively looking at the organizational structure of that, and that is something that we will be presenting to you over the course of the next couple of months. But from emergency management, we conducted tabletop emergency management exercise, and we went through one full-scale emergency simulated drill, which encompassed all of the emergency management personnel in the borough and mutual aid resources. So we've gone full cycle. We've developed the operations plan. We've done the tabletop and information sessions. Our elected officials actually went to the county emergency center, and then we actually simulated a drill. So just a reminder of our tabletop exercise, which was simulating and overwhelming and very informational, then culminated in a full-scale drill, which happened this past weekend, and it was extremely successful. The county participated, and all of our emergency management services were there. I think Bill Weber, who's the assistant fire chief at Narberth Ambulance, came up to us at the end and thanked us specifically for being a municipality that engaged in this type of activity. They service a lot of municipalities in our general area, and he says it doesn't happen anywhere else. So it's something that you as elected officials gave us the resources to go ahead to do, and culminated in something that was extremely successful. Moving on to public services. So public services is operations for the borough. And when I mean operations, I mean they're the ones that are ensuring that the borough operates on a regular basis. Everything from trash to permitting to property management to facility management. They are the workforce and they keep the borough moving. So I just want to start making sure that everyone understands when I'm saying public services, I mean operations. And you're going to hear me say that more and more often as we go along in this evolution together. But the biggest and most visible accomplishment for public services this year was the renovation of Marywood Park. And I think I speak for everybody when I say that it really has become, it is the center of town, it's the heart of town, it's a great resource that was given back to the community. Some other accomplishments were they performed an audit of all the energy bills, and they reduced operational costs. And we did that also by changing the borough's energy supplier. We upgraded building components, which resulted in safety risks going away. We clearly researched and selected new roll trash cans and recycle carts, which we'll be rolling out next year. This is to improve efficiency and to reduce employee injuries. They assisted in the phase of the infrastructure program by televising storm sewers, and I can't say enough for the fact that our public service employees are now engaging in these types of activities where we were able to take something that we normally would have had to outsource to the engineering, and it would have been a cost to the borough, and we have our employees who are able to give them, you're building up the knowledge and what our in-house employees are doing, and we're actually saving on the other end. So it's a good mutual relationship. We purchased modern equipment to improve roadway safety. We increased employee training. Again, Marywood Park was a great day when we opened it. We developed a comprehensive park maintenance program. So I think that's important to also highlight, that we have these renovated parks now, and now in addition to that, we have a park maintenance program. We have an individual in public services that's designated specifically for grounds, landscaping, maintenance, and parks. So again, we're evolving as the whole borough evolves. We've completed upgrades to the Riverwalk Dog Park, and we improved all park lighting and changed to LED as needed. So from licensing inspections, which is also housed in public services, we improved the turnaround time for issuance of permits. We improved compliance time for code violations. We continue the process of certifications and continuing education credits, which is important because you need to keep up with those standards. And then we increased face-to-face and phone communications with property owners and contractors during the enforcement process, which is key because not everybody understands the enforcement process. And as someone coming into the borough, to be able to explain it to them, it makes more sense, and we can help them along with the process. So that's a mouthful with public services. Oh, and I can't forget our new brining system. So this will go into full force this year. I mean, fingers crossed, we'd like there to be no snow, but if there is snow, we are more fully capable of dealing with it. Recreation services. So the biggest change with recreation services is that we hired and brought into the Borough family a new director, Lauren. We implemented new in-house fitness programs and group exercise, which have been successful. We increased and introduced new youth and adult programs. We introduced community outreach and special events that focused on wellness, such as the Medicare seminar, so a concerted effort to reach out to different demographics in the community. In terms of operating systems, we now have automatic notification for members for renewal. We purchased new game tables and media. We have an improved working relationship with Conshohocken sport leagues. So we now provide a comprehensive and inclusive co-ed program for residents. We have an on-site recreation event coordinator who is part-time. We are now scheduling and operating the Marriott Park House. We have a relationship with the Conshohocken Dog Park Advisory Committee. We developed a handbook for the dog park. And the list goes on. But these are some of my favorite pictures. So they're special events. We have the Easter egg hunt, the pumpkin face painting, the Donofrio, and the bottom there is we introduced a Mommy and Me class and purchased new equipment. So again, the community center is that. It is a place for the community, and Lauren has done an exceptional job in terms of taking all of our facilities, so not just the community center, but also the parks, and tying it all together into one department. And this is one of our new programs that's been very successful, ballet. Ballet by Lauren, but not by Lauren the director. So the Department of Administrative Services. So this is not as flashy or as noticeable because it happens it happens upstairs in our suite. But some of those accomplishments are we successfully completed the audit with limited findings. We increased our fund balance. We transitioned to Delaware Valley Trusts, which I'm containing my excitement for, but that was a big one. We further improved our financial policies and procedures. We finalized capital asset listing. We finalized the credit card processing that was implemented in all of our departments. Our records management is ongoing. We developed a human resource procedure binder, which will continue to grow and evolve, especially now that we have Divot as a resource. We completed sexual harassment training. Our comprehensive plan was completed. The architecture study of the community center and the Merriwood Park House was completed, and we completed the comprehensive infrastructure management plan. So within the Department of Administrative Services, I just have to say a huge thank you to Angela Orr for compiling the numbers for the budget, especially with my maternity leave. I could not have done it without her, and for Brittany for just kind of tying it all together. So thank you, Brittany. Zoning and community development. So this is Chris Stetler's area. She completed 8 housing rehabilitation properties belonging to low to moderate income residents. We were in the receipt of CDBG funds in the amount of $112,875. We successfully received the DEP 902 grant, which we will be using to purchase recycling equipment, and Ray Sokolowski, from an operational perspective, he will utilize the grant, but he was also instrumental in assisting Chris in getting the grant, and that's a huge deal for the borough. And then we submitted the application for $125.374 for 2018 CDBG funds. And last but not least is our communications and special events. And a huge thank you to Kate Cosman, who's on site for these events, but there's a lot of planning that goes behind closed doors, and she just has done a fabulous job in terms of just kind of reinventing the events and expanding on the events, and every department kind of contributes to her efforts, but she's the driving force behind them. We have fireworks. We have the Halloween parade, which ended up being a huge success. We have the summer concert series, which we expanded not just at Sutcliffe Park, but also to Marywood Park, and they were packed. It was just a great use of the parks in general. And then of course there's Fun Fest, and the turnout for Fun Fest this year and the structure of the event was fantastic. She also works on the newsletter and the recreation activity guide that comes out. She coordinated the PSAB video shoot, which we are apparently going to be getting, and then, right, Anita, we're going to get to check it, and then it'll go live sometime in January. Yes. And then we developed a special event application and guidelines. So now anyone who wants to come to the borough and host a special event like a 5K, there's a structure and a procedure around it now. There's an actual application, there's actual guidelines. She worked closely with our chief in developing a 5K course, so it's streamlining our operations. So big thank you to all to Kate Cosman for all of that. So again, these accomplishments are an overview of borough operations for 2018, and I'd like to thank all borough staff for their hard work and our elected officials for all of their guidance and direction from their commencement to the completion of each project. I hope that from a resident standpoint that these highlights from 2018 really illustrate that your tax dollars are being put to good use. So moving on to the proposed budget for 2019. To really understand the budget, you start with revenue sources. The primary revenue sources being real estate tax, real estate transfer tax, earned income tax, local service tax, mercantile tax, business privilege tax, and then fund balance. So we have 17% coming directly from real estate taxes, and I think it's important to single out real estate taxes because this is where your residents are contributing to the borough operation. So on the screen, you can see 17% real estate, 37% EIT, 21% business privilege, and 16% fund balance. So there's two components to the budget as it relates to real estate tax. The budget as it relates to the borough's constituents, and the budget as it relates to the approval from our elected officials. I'm going to take a second and I'm going to provide a brief explanation and explain how we put the residents' tax dollars to work. So when we talk about real estate taxes, we're talking about millage. So the millage rate is the millage rate is the amount per $1,000 used to calculate taxes on a property. And I'll use an example because all of this information can get jumbled. But 1 mil basically represents $1 in taxes per 1,000 in tax assessed value. So for example, if you consider a home's assessed value is $108,000, then 1 mil of tax would equal $108. The borough's total millage rate in 2018 was 29.266 mils. So that means that the homeowner owes $29.266 in taxes for every $1,000 in tax assessed value. To give you an example and an actual number, this amounts to $3,160.73 in property taxes. So it's the mills times the assessed rate equating to what you owe in property taxes. So what's the breakdown? So the total mill was 29.266. To the county, a resident pays 3.459. To the community college, they pay 0.39. To the borough, they pay 3.5. And then to the colonial school district, they pay 21.917. So what does that mean? That means that if the homeowner owes $3,160.73 in total property taxes, they pay $378 to the borough, $373 to the county, $42 to the community college, and $2,367 to the school district. So you can see on the screen, that's the breakdown. If you're a resident paying property taxes, the purple chunk is going to the school district, the blue is going to the county, and the green is coming to us. So what does it mean? What does this mean for a breakdown for a borough resident? Basically, if we use this example, this means that for this particular property owner, they would owe approximately $31.50 a month to the borough. So that then you then ask, and what services do you get for $31.50 a month? You get everything I just showed you in your 2018 accomplishments. You get trash removal, snow plowing, upgraded parks, police protection, fire protection, emergency services, code enforcement, permitting, a community center, and access to all those free special events. And that's just naming a few of the services you get for your money. So this is my favorite slide. So the best part about it is that the budget in front of you this evening proposes no increase in the real estate tax millage for 2019. So for a resident, that means no increased cost to you, which is a great thing. So we're switching gears. So we talked about how real estate applies to a resident. We'll now talk how what the taxes mean for the budget. So what's the value of 1 mil? The total assessed value of property in the borough is approximately $643 million. If you calculate that off of our millage rate, total revenue coming into the borough for use for the budget is approximately $2.2 million. You then have to subtract penalties, delinquents, and discounts. So the real estate we have to utilize to fund our budget is $2,151,839. So then you break it down into the different categories of where you're actually going to fund your budget, and that's based off of your tax levies. So we have 2.9984 levies, which equates to $1,843,450 going to your general fund. So that's basically your operating fund. That's your chunk. Street light millage has decreased. The need for the amount of money in the street light account has decreased. And this is due to the fact that our Director of Public Services has completed the LED transition in the borough. So we're about $43,000. There's about $43,000 that we do not need that was previously allocated in taxes to the street light. So as you can see underneath streetlight, I have debt service in red. We currently, as a borough, do not have a tax levy for debt service, and we have debt. So I am proposing that you take the savings from the streetlight and you develop a levy specific to debt service so you can start funding your debt, which is a fiscally responsible thing to do. So that is a consideration for you that I will be asking when I ask you to authorize the budget in 2 weeks. Very important to stress, the dollars that would be going into this new category are reallocated dollars. They are not new money. It is not an increase. It is literally taking dollars from an operation that became more efficient, recategorizing it to an area of financial need for the borough. The next category is fire, and that equates to around $77,000, and then the library, which is $51,000. So those are your operating revenues. And again, I will be asking for authorization to advertise an ordinance that illustrates and encompasses a new tax levy for debt service. Okay, so again, this is just encompassing what I just said. General fund, streetlight fund, debt service fund, fire protection fund, library fund. Those would be the funds that you would see in your budget that would be funded specifically from tax dollars. And the total compared to last year is slightly less. And again, those are straight from your real estate, from your tax collector. And again, the best part about it is that you have a balanced budget. So now that you have a better understanding of the tax revenue and how those tax revenue dollars are utilized, I will now move into an overview of the 2019 budget. And again, most importantly, what I'm presenting this evening is a balanced budget between operating revenues and operating expenditures, with the operating revenues utilizing fund balance and the operating expenditures utilizing transfers. So on the screen now is a breakdown of operating revenues. So you can see again, the red chunk, around $7.3 million, is coming from your Local Tax Enabling Act, which encompasses transfer tax, EIT, mercantile, BPT, and LST. That's your big chunk of where your revenue is coming in from. Your other categories are your real estate taxes, and then your last category is your fund equity. Those are your major players. On this screen is a breakdown of your operating expenditures. So we break it down into categories of operations. So 1.9 million is going to general government, 5 million is going to police services, 622,000 is going to fire and emergency services, 684,000 is licensing and inspections, 2.9 million is public services, you had to excuse me. Okay, 744 is going to culture and recreation, 100,000 is other expenditures, and then you have interfund transfers, which is reserve funds, which goes to 1 million. Most importantly, you can see that the overall increase at the bottom of the screen from 2018 is a 2.18% increase, and this is down from last year. Last year was a 2.81% increase, and we flip-flopped those numbers to a 2.18% increase, and this is lower than the inflation rate. This increase is encompassed mostly from contractual obligations, legal fees, and an increase in recreation operating budget, which I'm going to move into now. So, recreation. It's important to note that in the budget that is proposed, there is an $175,000 increase in expenditures for 2019. But what I need you to remember is that on the other side, there is an increase of $175,000 coming in on the revenues. What does that mean to a borough resident? That means that the cost to them is $0. So the increase, yes, is a significant number. However, the expense is only incurred if the revenue is guaranteed, thus resulting in no net cost to a borough resident. In other words, revenue generated from these programs will cover the associated costs. However, I need a place in the budget to put the numbers in. So finally, we break down the major cost centers. Personnel costs equate to approximately $8.4 million, or 64% of the budget. Your fixed and variable costs are about $3.8 million, or 28.9% of the budget, and then your transfers to reserve funds are $1 million, or about 7.6%. So you might ask, what's the justification for these proposed costs? So let's look at some budget highlights and a sampling of department goals for 2019. So some important budget highlights include, of course, no tax increase. You have a streamlined organizational structure, which is resulting in decreased personnel costs. You have a decrease in insurance costs, which we are able to repurpose that money and actually use it to make our operations more efficient and to also hopefully assist our employees with resulting in less injuries and more workplace safety. You have a decreased reliance on fund balance. So you have a 25% decrease in fund balance needed to balance your budget, which equates to approximately $625,000, which is a great accomplishment. And then you have a low health care renewal. You have a continued investment into your reserve funds. You have an investment into public safety. The budget encompasses the hiring of part-time firefighters, police vehicles, utility vehicles for the fire department, an appropriation to the Narberth ambulance, that's just to name a few. You have a continued investment into public services. We just talked about the investment into recreation services, and while it's important that the expenditure is in there and will only be incurred if the revenues match it, what's more important is the quality of life that recreation brings to the community. So I have up there quality of life. You have allocated funds for grant matching, and you have allocated funds for debt service through tax levy, most importantly, without raising taxes. Moving on to the departmental goals to justify the budget in front of you this evening. The police department plans to continue community outreach and reduction in crime rates. They plan to do an information campaign to increase pedestrian and traffic safety. Their goal is to maintain the feeling of safety in the community, to increase cooperation with partners in law enforcement, to promote a positive police and civilian contact, continue high-level training and education, and to coordinate a borough-wide active shooter emergency simulated drill. The fire department is planning to hire at least 2 part-time firefighters to continue the advancement in high-rise training, to increase fire prevention activities, and to form a committee to begin writing specs for the future purchase of a new ladder truck. Emergency management will conduct, again, one full-scale exercise in conjunction with all the borough departments focused on active shooter, which in today's society is extremely relevant and important. Public services will transition into taking on the large responsibility of this administrative building once we are done with the contract with T.N. Ward. They are planning on developing a comprehensive maintenance program for all occupied tenant space. They will roll out the new trash and recycle carts. They will purchase the new trucks for leaf collection and storm sewer vacuum through the 902 grant. Very important, we are continuing leaf collection, just to make sure that that's clear. We will be performing temporary road repairs. We will fully implement the use of the brine system during minor storms, address problematic intersections and unsafe roadway conditions using liquid fuels funds, and complete the second round of the ash tree treatment to prevent the ash borer infestation. For license and inspections within public services, they will be implementing a new program for property maintenance targeting property rear yard alleys, pending the adoption of the rear house number ordinance. They will implement the 2015 International Code adopted on October 1st of 2018 and educate property owners and contractors on these changes. They will increase awareness of property maintenance code requirements and review and consider ordinance revisions as needed. For recreation, they are upgrading the community center with paint and flooring. They are planning on organizing trips for the community and surrounding areas, and they are going to do that in conjunction with neighboring municipalities so we can pool our resources. They will be planning and implementing a summer movie night, increasing educational and informational workshops for youth, teens, families, and seniors, and increase marketing for revenue-producing programs and increase citizen participation. Administrative services plans on doing a written account manual with documents about policies and procedures, including approval guidelines, so that's a financial goal for next year, to revise the employee handbook, which is a goal for next year, and to continue to work with Delaware Valley Trust to finalize best practices in HR, insurance, and workers' compensation policies and procedures. Zoning and community development. The main goal in this area is to begin the revision of the 2001 zoning ordinance. And I'm going to leave it at that because that's going to take a long time and a lot of work. For communications and special events, we are looking to develop social media policies. We are looking to drive posting activity on the borough's Instagram page to potentially start paid promotions for borough-sponsored special events, to update the borough website, to utilize Adobe InDesign trainings, and to increase the use of Ready Monco. So we believe that the budget highlights that I just discussed and also these 2019 departmental goals provide justification for the dollars we are proposing to spend in 2019. So you might ask, what happens next? So on November 21st, I will ask council to consider authorizing the advertisement of the proposed budget and the tax levy ordinance. This budget will be posted in the lobby of Borough Hall and on the Borough website. The public notices and ordinances will be advertised, and then you will vote to adopt and consider adopting the budget at the December 19th regular scheduled council meeting. So last but not least, I would like to just conclude by stating that we as administrators are honored to serve the Borough of Conshohocken, not just you all as elected officials, but also the residents, the business owners, and the community groups. It's our belief that through this proposed budget for 2019 and collaboration between these three entities, that the borough can continue to evolve forward with the ultimate goal of enhancing the quality of life in Conshohocken. So I thank you for your time and also for your consideration for the 2019 proposed budget. And at this point, I will answer any questions that elected officials have on the budget as proposed.
Thank you for this and well done.
Thanks. All good? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Stephanie.
stuff. Just budget's proud of. Yes, I teared up. I am. It's a wonderful year. It was. Yeah, it's still
The next item on the agenda is 125 East Elm Street Zoning Hearing Board application.
So Miss Stetler is out sick. So I'm going to introduce Miss Wonder. And she is here to discuss the 125 East Elm zoning determination. Just as a precursor to Jen's explanation, this is happening right now. So we have to administratively process this item because there's a stipulation in the zoning ordinance. But because of the benefit to the community that this was presenting, we have a historical record of doing this where we would allow the applicant, as long as they've submitted an application, to move forward with the activity requested, and then send them through the process. Okay, so thanks, Jen.
Great, thank you. So this is an application submitted by Keystone Property Group. It's for their office building at 125 East Elm Street. What we're proposing is a valet parking within the parking garage there. The reasoning behind it is due to the development that's going to be going on for the Sora West project. The prior office building at 100 West Elm Street has been vacated, and some of the tenants or the employees of Keystone have been moved over to the 125 East Elm Street office. So while there is sufficient parking within the parking garage to accommodate those employees as well as all the building tenants, the valet parking allows the parking to move a little smoother, especially to accommodate some visitors and guests of the building. So we're proposing to add valet parking on both the upper level of the parking garage as well as the lower level of the parking garage. It will still operate as self-parking to an extent. Once all of the parking spaces are filled up, that's when the valet parking operators will start following the cars and taking the keys and sort of situate the cars until all of the spaces have been filled up, and then if anyone needs to retrieve their car, they'll basically be operating throughout the day until all of the cars are within a parked space. So like Stephanie has said, we've been operating this way for just this past week. It's been a couple days. Yeah, it started on Tuesday. It's been operating very smoothly. All of the operations are contained within the garage itself. So one of the items that we have to demonstrate to the zoning hearing board is that this valet parking operation won't have any negative impact on the public streets surrounding the parking garage. So the plan that we have shows that that won't happen, and as well as the current operations of the past couple of days. So that's what we're proposing. We'll be in front of the Planning Commission tomorrow evening as well, because they do have some input per the zoning ordinance as well. And then the zoning hearing board on the 19th is when we'll be in front of them. So if you have any questions regarding the operation.
What are the hours of operation for the valet?
This is John Ostertag, by the
Hi,
way,
John.
with Keystone.
I work with Keystone. It's 8:30 till 5.
8:30 to 5. And then loading and unloading zone at the other site, have we designated that so that it wouldn't interfere with, like, is it on Fayette Street? Is it off of an avenue? Just
The loading and unloading zone is off of Harry Street, so it's the open portion of the parking lot.
okay.
Yeah, there's what we're calling a staging area. So it's not going to operate in a way where you would drop your car off at a stand and have someone valet it. It's more of a self-parking for the most part until the spaces fill up, and then you kind of park in front of parking spaces and leave your keys. So there won't be, a line of people leaving their cars. There is some limited staging area if the entire garage fills up, which we don't propose to happen at all. And that's within the open area in front of, off of Harry Street in the garage.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
If council is inclined, they would make a recommendation to send a letter of support to the zoning hearing board.
I'll make that recommendation.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Great.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. There are no other items on the agenda.
Public comment?
That was my cue. All right. Good evening, Borough Council. I'm Matt O'Hanlon from 200 West Elm Street at the Grand, and I am here to go over some issues that have been going on with our personal situation to try to get some sort of help. So on July 30th, we had a hot water leak from the person's condo above us, which then trickled down to our unit. We were condemned from the borough on August 3rd. Our 1,300 square foot condo is completely intact. There is nothing wrong with the condo other than a disconnected hot water heater on the balcony. Unfortunately, with the poor management at the association, which I know has nothing to do with here, this is just dragging on to insurance matters, legal matters, as far as the work being completed. And their timeline went from 3 to 5 days to being out to a month to they couldn't give an answer to January 7th to February 8th to March 19th. At which time my wife and I, who just had a 1-month-old, have been displaced since then for the last 3 months, living in temporary housing. December 9th, our insurance policy runs out of $12,600 from the insurance, of which we're out of pocket anywhere $2,000 to $2,700 a month with paying a mortgage, rental, double utility bills, furniture, all of that, which obviously is an expensive situation, but is nothing to more of the personal matter of getting back in our home, really for my wife and daughter. So I'm here to find out what we can do to simply get the hot water heater connected, because we're simply condemned for not having hot water in our unit, of which our unit is fine, it is livable, but we have a disconnected hot water heater that is a 1 to 2 day fix. But because of this debacle within the association, the poor management company, nothing is going on. So I've been advised that they've selected a contractor. The contractor can get, they've already awarded them the bid because they're controlling this whole process. My insurance will pay up to $10,000. The association pays beyond that, which I cannot imagine a hot water heater is going to cost $10,000. But even with that being so, I'm willing to pay whatever the difference is to get back in there, because we're up against $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 out of pocket every single month as of December 9th when our lease runs out. And basically, I was able to get an extension from the Riverwalk where we are, who wanted an answer when we're going to renew as of yesterday. I bought time until Monday to give them an answer, but they basically want to lock us into $2,700 a month or sign a 12-month lease at $2,000 a month. So to me, this is a pretty easy fix as far as me getting someone in there to simply get the hot water back on. And whenever they get to do the work, they're going to get to do the work, but the balcony is not affecting us living in our home, especially now that we're coming into the winter months and the balcony doesn't get used anyway. So I don't know hopefully that helped paint some sort of
So
picture.
what exactly is the question you're asking?
The question I'm
council.
asking is, how do I get the condemned sticker off my sign to get back in our home? Because we are condemned for not having hot water, not because the unit's not livable, because the hot water heater is simply disconnected.
And our department put that.
So John Robitaille came out on August the 3rd is when it's
But
signed.
but you're saying you have someone to put in a new water heater?
Yes.
So just to
Yes.
Matt, just to add on to what we're dealing with right now. You are depicting it accurately, that there is an issue right now with the management, HOA board management down at the Grand. The borough did condemn the units. We rightfully condemned those units. We are now dealing with an issue with the Grand in terms of management, where they are coming back to the borough, and for tonight, for instance, there is a meeting scheduled where the borough was disinvited from. When we are being reached out
I'll
to.
give you all the cliff notes.
Yeah.
My wife's down there now, so.
Yes.
Right.
So the issue is that residents are reaching out to the borough directly, and we are saying, we are the borough, you are here, you are taxpayers, we will deal with you directly, we're here to help you, we're here to assist you. Councilmember Totino has been doing the same thing. Residents have been reaching out, she's been instrumental in bringing them to our attention. We're here to help them. We are being told by the management company that they are collectively handling this, and that all of the owners of the property, renters, they are having to go through this collective effort, I would say, to rectify these issues, these condemned units. So we are working, we've had multiple contacts with the management company. There's been some heated conversations as well. I don't know at this point what else the borough can do to circumvent the management company, if that's even what we're trying to do. But we are not going to turn away our residents. So we need we're here. If the residents want to come to us, they're more than welcome to come to us.
So,
There's the issue with the management company, which we are now being uninvited to these meetings.
so Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. And the gentleman's apartment started the flood. He's a renter. He moved out. They put an eviction notice after he stated that he was moving out. They gave him an eviction notice, and he couldn't take it anymore. He didn't want to stay in a hotel, so he bought a place in Plymouth. But there's only 3 apartments that got damaged on that water heater break, right?
Correct.
At the top apartment, the second, your apartment, and the apartment below. Am I correct?
Yeah, the 4th floor was fine. It started in his on the 3rd floor, we're on the 2nd floor, and then went down to the 1st floor.
So
Yeah.
there's how many people involved? Three different apartments?
There's a total of 22 losses in the whole community, but this particular instance, there's 3.
There's 3, right. So
Yeah.
this is a different instance than the other one.
The management company is not considering them different. And correct me if I'm wrong, they're lumping them all together.
The problem is they created 5 different phases, and we are considered phase 3, so we're somewhere in the middle of the pack of this.
But this was a separate incident.
Bob, I
Yeah.
completely understand
It-
what you're saying. I'm telling you that we did our due diligence. The residents came to us. We reached out to the management company. We addressed it with them. Their response back was, we are collectively dealing with them it's like they're almost considering you an entity.
But it's a shame, it's 3
I-
residents.
Yes.
Separate incident, that they're not letting them back in their, I mean, how many months has it been, Matt?
We're almost 3.5 now
What a year.
for a hot water heater.
So if
But-
I understood Stephanie right, she did just say that the residents could meet with the borough.
That is
Directly.
absolutely correct.
So I think that is probably the next step that you guys would want to take, is to set up a meeting with Stephanie so that they can direct you on what needs to be done to get you guys back in.
So I know that, because Karen was down at the polls yesterday, and we were going back and forth in terms of the conversation. I think that we're trying to get that message out. I know that Karen has been saying it. I know that, yes, if you want to come in and meet with us, we can collectively sit down and decide how we can strategize. We can get our legal team involved as well, but that, you have information, and Stephanie's down at the
Right.
meeting getting us information, and we have what we've been given at this point.
And similar to our conversation yesterday, as of earlier in the morning or even early afternoon, there was discussion about the meeting that is now taking place.
Right.
And that we did have representation. Ray Sokolowski was going to go there, attend the meeting, and talk about the permitting process. So he was invited by a resident and had every intention of going, and then was disinvited. So the intent is, we certainly want to have the open communication, and that is when I spoke with you along with some other residents, to make sure that the borough was.
They really have the ability to it's an open meeting in a firehouse.
Well, we were told that if we were to attend and the topic was brought up, that it would not be discussed.
Well, to my point, regardless what they're doing, and obviously this is going to drag out for a long time. Since it is a livable I know in the 22 units, there are 4 people who were not condemned.
Okay.
So not everybody was actually condemned in this.
Okay.
How do I get to be, I guess,
Be the not condemned.
one of the not
Number 5.
condemned? Because my place isn't ripped apart. Like some people, they have nothing in their home, which I get. But that's not the case. So I'd even like to, if I can invite someone down to come with me to our place, and exactly, I'll pay out of, I don't really
So,
care.
is that possible? Okay, so yes, that's possible.
Okay,
So we'll come down and evaluate your specific unit.
perfect.
Okay.
So what do I do to schedule that, or, is that right?
That's right, and I have your
Oh,
contact
all right.
information.
That was really
I'm
rude of
looking
them
at
to
him.
disinvite
I'm
you,
looking
Ray.
at him like I'm looking at him on purpose. Yeah, we'll schedule it right after this.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any more public comment? Mayor Aronson?
So first off, I want to thank administration and Public Works and Council for all your support and time and energy putting together the Halloween parade and the Halloween parade rain date. So I think it turned out wonderfully. I've heard nothing but good things, and I think we all had a really good time there. So thank you all for that. This Sunday, our VFW post is having our Veterans Day ceremonies. So at 10 a.m. By the 2nd and Fayette Monument is going to be a, I don't want to say celebration, ceremony. And Walter Hartnett contacted me yesterday and asked that I invite you all to be there. At 10:30, they're going to move to West Conshohocken. And then at 11, they're going to be at 5th and Spring Mill for the conclusion of the ceremonies. And then, of course, everyone's invited to the post afterwards. So so I hope we see you there. And that's all I have.
I just have a couple of things. The grant was one that Matt had contacted me about, and I had a friend that was in the other apartment, which he moved now. So I just wanted to help them get this thing straight.
He's lucky he was a renter.
Huh?
He's lucky he was a renter. I can't just move.
The second is, I had a couple seniors call me, actually one at the polls. They need some help with they appreciate getting the new trash containers, but they think the ones that we're ordering are going to be just too big for them to handle.
I
So-
think one of the suggestions from Stephanie was for the seniors that do have concerns is that we actually take a trash can to them to see how it works for them, to see if they can actually handle it, and then go from there. Is that correct, Steph? Sorry,
I have their
Ray.
names and addresses that I can,
I have a lot of seniors.
or get a senior can, a smaller can.
Unless we have a better idea.
They keep the old ones?
That was me brainstorming yesterday.
Yes.
I will get with our administration and we will come up with a plan.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Could we bring one of the trash cans to Monday bingo and let the seniors that
We
come on
absolutely
Mondays check
could.
it out?
There you
And
go,
also,
Jane.
bring one to the senior Thanksgiving celebration,
Yes.
because that draws a different group of people. So if we have them there, maybe someone from Mr. Sokolowski's staff could do a demonstration. But I think for people to see it, that'll take away a lot of the mystery and the fear.
Yeah, I also
That's a
had
great idea. We'll have one at the community center.
Right. I also did have the questions on the trash cans, yes.
Is that all?
Anita?
That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have my report for the Sewer Authority. General information, the authority has not been in violation of any DEP requirements or permits and continues to have plenty of capacity. My engineer's report is the PA Small Water and Sewer Grant Update. The grant agreement was signed, and the next step is the design. The first step will be to verify if any easements are required. The design will take place this winter so that the project can be bid in the spring of 2018. She's giving me old stuff here. The liner project, the installation of the liner project is complete and all restoration work has been completed. The only remaining item is to obtain the certification of the liner material back from the laboratory. At that point, all retainage can be released. The RCB train seat replacement project is, the startup of the treatment process has been scheduled. The startup of the treatment process will take about 1 month. Once the biological treatment process is stabilized, the treating of the wastewater, this project will be completed.
Thank you, Anita.
Yeah, I don't want to get into too much detail, but the biological end of it is really cool. It's little guys that get in there and eat everything.
Fun. Yeah. I just wanted to say that I had the opportunity to be at the debriefing for our emergency management event. I wasn't there for the first part of the actual event. Anita got to be there for that part. But what I wanted to say was in the debriefing, it was amazing how enthusiastic our first responders were about the event, and about how important it was to them to be able to actually do a real simulation. And I think Chief Gunning did a really nice job coordinating the debriefing and actually engaging each department and each group. So we had fire police, we had firemen, we had EMS, we had our police officers, and just the idea of being able to hear some of their challenges that they were able to identify so that they can get better at what it is that they do, to think about things like having enough air to get up to just the 3rd floor, and we're going to be building buildings bigger than 3 floors. So I was very impressed with the event. I'm very excited that we will be able to continue to do that with these groups. And the next active shooter one, since we see what's going on in
Every day.
it's a little scary. So I would anticipate that it would be also the same type of enthusiasm and active participation. But to hear other people from other communities talk about how important that was to them, I think we're doing great stuff, and I just applaud our teams for being able to pull that off.
And to add to that, it was exciting to learn that we are the first community to do this. So we're like a showpiece right now. And I commend everybody that was there. It was an awesome event. And after seeing the picture of the EOC mobile unit, to actually be inside of it and to see how it's run was an awesome opportunity.
And people came out, our volunteers came out on their own time,
Yep.
on the weekend, because they're committed to our community and the job that they do for public safety.
Active shooter in spring.
Jane?
We do have a Marywood Park Commissioners meeting this Monday at the Park House at 7 o'clock. And what we're working on right now is marketing material that we will use starting in January when we are going to seek corporate donations. So that's that. And then next Wednesday at the Community Center will be the Senior Thanksgiving Luncheon. And that's at 12 o'clock. So please, anyone that is over 62 is invited. And if you if you have neighbors or friends, just please remind them to register ahead. And now we'll have our new trash can for everybody to check out.
In your upload on Friday, Lauren has put in information on the luncheon. She's been diligent. We've actually had a huge community influx in terms of wanting to make donations to the event. So this year, she's coordinated it so that all of the food is being donated. But if you are interested in helping to serve, we will not be serving the food to the tables. We'll be doing like a buffet line. But if you're interested in standing behind and helping out in any way, if you could just let us know. You can let Lauren know directly. Thanks.
Ike?
Yes, I just want to thank Steph for a great presentation, and I think our constituents are going to love it because the final thing is no tax increase. Thank you, Steph.
So similar, we've had this conversation about the Grand and what you're experiencing there, and that was a very large concern that certainly is being heard. So my intention when we kind of got to this part of it was to bring it up, and I'm really glad that you came here, and I think that it was very important to clarify the role that the borough that wants to play, is available to play, and that we welcome everyone, and we need that message to go back to the Grand.
Well, they're summoning me to get down there to speak in front of everyone right now, so, but no, thank you, and thank you for all you do.
Chief Metz?
The police association came to me and asked for authorization to grow beards this month and next month. And it's a good, it's a good fundraiser. The mayor, as you can see, in solidarity is participating. So if you see them, they're not going rogue. There's some pretty impressive beards already, I gotta say. So, and the borough, our Facebook page, and the police association will direct you to the place to donate. So, good cause. Right, we relaxed it.
So how about you, Chief? You gonna grow one?
Because I can't think of one reason to cover this up. You want to let me know.
Oh, that is awesome. That was a great response. I only have one thing. I would like to thank the administration for all of their hard work for the Halloween parade. Trying to get the rain date and getting it all set up and putting up with council through it, because I know that it was very challenging and you all did a great job getting it done, and it was a great success. So I thank everyone in the administration that had a hand in it. We really do appreciate it, and we all had a great time. Thank you. Yes. That's it.
Public comment.
We did that
We
first.
did that first. Yes.
We'll do that at the end, too.
We should do it at the end, yes.
No more. Meeting adjourned.